I'll never forget this. Years ago, I was watching an episode of the Montel Williams show, I think it was, and he had on a couple who lost their child because of the actions of a caretaker. See, what happened was that they left their young toddler in the care of this woman who was a licensed to operate a daycare center. And what she was doing was giving Benadryl to some of the younger children so that they would sleep most of the time that she was keeping them. And she was giving them Benadryl in such large doses that it was toxic to them. So eventually, the child of the couple who were guests on the Montel Williams show succumbed to that. She wasn't even authorized to be administering any drugs to these children, but she did it because it would make her job a lot easier and it would be less time for her to have to deal with the children. The daycare operator never admitted, as far as I know, never admitted to giving any drugs to the children. The thing that exposed her is that the mother of the deceased child, she cut a lock of hair from her child's head before her child went to the hospital, and she saved that hair and had it tested for drugs. And that's how the coroner found out. That's how they found out that the daycare operator was giving Benadryl to the child. It's just no telling what these people do unless you have the babysitter to care for your child in your home, and you have surveillance all around your home on the inside and outside. There's no telling what these people are doing to these children. There was another case that happened about 3 or 4 years ago in South Florida, where this woman was operating a daycare center and she was transporting the children back and forth, between their homes and where she was running her daycare center. And she rounded up all the children, and she ended up leaving one child in the back seat of the car. And I think the child may have fell asleep because they didn't realize her and her daughter were operating the daycare center, and they didn't realize that they had left one child in the back seat of the car. So by the time they discovered the child in the car, the child had died. Just to show you how callous and cold these people are. When the child died, the state shut this woman's daycare center down, and her and her daughter got arrested. So when she got out on bail, the woman went to another state and and opened up another daycare center in the other state, pending the investigation of the child's death. Yeah, it just goes to show you the mentality of some of these people who babysit children and operate daycare centers. It's like they don't view these children as human beings. They more or less view the child as a means to make money and as a number. The more heads they have in their daycare center, or the more children that they babysit, the more money they make. Once again, you have to be very careful who you have caring for your children. It would behoove you to do a background check on these people. I think it's worth the money, and it's just better to be safe than sorry. In the case of one of my relatives who had a registered sex offender as a neighbor, when I would go visit my male relative, I would sometimes chop it up with this guy, and I had no idea that he was a registered sex offender. And he actually told me, when my relative found out that this guy was a registered sex offender, he told me so that I would be aware, and he warned me about it, so that I would be prepared and aware of what was going on. And the more and more I talked with the neighbor, he eventually told me the backstory to why he was a registered sex offender. And it's a pretty sad story, which I'm not going to get into right now. Maybe I'll talk about it in another video. But he basically got caught up, and it's a situation that happened when he was like 18 years old. And at the time that I knew him and started talking to this guy, he was in his 30s, and him having to register as a sex offender was like a scar on his life, and it limited his opportunities and his ability to travel and to move to different areas for better opportunities. But maybe I'll get into it in another video. But it's just a kind of a fucked up situation for him. I know there's a national website for sex offenders, like to go and look up people who you may suspect of being registered sex offenders, but I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I'll probably Google it and then post a link to that website in the description box below.